There you go.
There you go. So we're going to read the mystical theology tonight to coincide with the new moon, since it's the dark of the moon. This is about the divine darkness, but it's not to be confused with the darkness of no light. It says in the footnotes that that's the darkness of ignorance, but this is the darkness of a superabundance of light that basically illuminates us out beyond words and concepts. So it's dark in that sense. I just wanted to read a brief little thing, kind of from their own footnotes, considering the far-reaching influence of the brief but profound mystical theology of Dionysius the Aeropagite. It's comparatively little known, even to students who are ardent lovers and followers of some of the great Christian mystics who were themselves spiritual children of all this. So we're very grateful. Anybody here that's listening or watching this, that's a great privilege for everybody.
It is a great privilege.
What next, Paul?
I thought you were going to start reading.
Aha.
Chapter 1, the mystical theology. What is the divine darkness?
What is the divine darkness? Supernal triad, deity above all essence, knowledge, and goodness, guide of Christians to divine wisdom, direct out path to the ultimate summit of thy mystical lore. Love, I was going to say. Most incomprehensible, most luminous, and most exalted, where the pure, absolute, and immutable mysteries of theology are veiled in the dazzling obscurity of the secret silence, outshining all brilliance with the intensity of their darkness, and surcharging our blinded intellects with the utterly impalpable and invisible fairness of glories surpassing all beauty. Let this be my prayer. But do thou, dear Timothy, or dear whoever's listening, in the diligent exercise of mystical contemplation, leave behind the senses and the operations of the intellect, and all things sensible and intellectual, and all things in the world of being and non-being, that thou mayest arise by unknowing toward the union, as far as is attainable, with him who transcends all being and all knowledge. For by the unceasing and absolute renunciation of thyself and of all things, thou mayest be borne on high through pure and entire self-abnegation into the superessential radiance of the divine darkness. But these things are not to be disclosed to the uninitiated, by whom I mean those attached to objects of human thought, and who believe there is no superessential reality beyond, and who imagine that by their own understanding they know him who has made darkness his secret place. And if the principles of the divine mysteries are beyond the understanding of these, what's to be said of others who are still more incapable thereof, who describe the transcendental first cause of all by characteristics drawn from the lowest order of things, while they deny that he is in any way above the images which they fashion after various designs. Whereas they should affirm that, while he possesses all the positive attributes of the universe, being the universal cause, yet in a more strict sense, he does not possess them, since he transcends all. Wherefore, there's no contradiction between the affirmations and the negations, inasmuch as he infinitely precedes all conceptions of deprivation, being beyond all positive and negative distinctions. Paul. Thus, I lose your voice, man.
Oh, yeah. Just a little commentary on this, that it says possesses all the positive attributes of the universe, being the universal cause. And so that means that when we use the word he, it encompasses he, she, it encompasses everything. There is no real duality that should be inferred from any of this. And we might simply use, as in this sentence, while they deny that the real is in any way above the images which they fashion after various designs. And we substitute the real for he, or we could put in she, but we
could put in I, the supreme self.
Or we could put in I, that's right. Yeah. So thus the blessed Bartholomew asserts that the divine science is both vast and minute, and that the gospel is great and broad, yet concise and short, signifying by this that the beneficent cause of all is most eloquent, yet utters few words, or rather is altogether silent, as having neither human speech nor human understanding, because he is super essentially exalted above created things and reveals itself in the naked truth to those alone who pass beyond all that is pure or impure and ascend above the topmost altitudes of holy things, and who, having leaving behind them all divine light and sound and heavenly utterances, plunge into the darkness where truly dwells, as the oracle declare, the one who is beyond all. Okay, go ahead.
It was not without reason that the blessed Moses was commanded first to undergo purification himself and then to separate himself from those who had not undergone it. And after the entire purification, heard many voiced trumpets and saw many lights streaming forth with pure and manifold rays, and that he was thereafter separated from the multitude with the elect priests and pressed forward to the summit of the divine ascent. Nevertheless, he did not attain to the presence of God himself. He saw not him, for he cannot be looked upon, but the place where he dwells. And this I take to signify that the divinest and highest things seen by the eyes or contemplated by the mind are the symbolic expressions of those that are immediately beneath him who is above all. Through these, his incomprehensible presence is manifested upon those heights of his holy places. Then it breaks forth even from that which is seen and which sees, and plunges the mystic into the darkness of unknowing, whence all perfection of understanding is excluded, and he's enwrapped in that which is altogether intangible and noumenal, being wholly absorbed in him who is beyond all and in none else, whether himself or another, and through the inactivity of all his reasoning powers is united by his highest faculty to him who is wholly unknowable. Thus, by knowing nothing, he knows that which is beyond his knowledge. Take it away, Paul.
Chapter 2, the necessity of being united with and of rendering praise to the one who is the cause of all and above all. We pray that we may come unto this darkness, which is beyond light, and without seeing and without knowing, to see and to know that which is above vision and knowledge, through the realization that by not seeing and by unknowing, we attain to true vision and knowledge, and thus praise superessentially the one who is superessential by the abstraction of the essence of all things, even as those who, carving a statue out of marble, abstract and remove all the surrounding material that hinders the vision which the marble conceals, and by that abstraction, bringing to light the hidden beauty. It is necessary to distinguish this negative method of abstraction from the positive method of affirmation, in which we deal with the divine attributes. For with these latter, we begin with the universal and primary and pass through the intermediate and secondary to the particular and ultimate attributes. But now we ascend from the particular to the universal conceptions, abstracting all attributes in order that, without veil, we may know that unknowing which is enshrouded under all that is known and all that can be known, and that we may begin to contemplate the superessential darkness which is hidden by all the light that is in existing things, hidden by all the light that is in existing things. So it's like luminous darkness, but really to understand this really essential primary paragraph, I think I need to read more slowly so that we can understand what the difference is between the negative method of abstraction and the positive method of affirmation. It is necessary to distinguish this negative method of abstraction from the positive method of affirmation, in which we deal with the divine attributes. You see, the divine attributes, just as in the Quran, you see, these things are universal. For with these latter, we begin with the universal and primary and pass through the intermediate and secondary to the particular and ultimate attributes. We begin with the universal and primary and pass through the intermediate and secondary to the particular and ultimate attributes. So that's the positive method of affirmation. But now we ascend from the particular to the universal conceptions, abstracting all attributes in order that, without veil, we may know that unknowing which is enshrouded under all that is known and all that can be known, and that we may begin to contemplate the superessential darkness which is hidden by all the light that is in existing things. And now Bob will do chapter 3.
Yeah, I just thought while that was being read, so many other teachings, expressions of that same teaching ran through my head, like in the East Indian way of neti, not this, in so many words, just discarding anything that runs through your mind. It's one thing to say God is beautiful, God is love, God is all this, and another to say nothing, any thought that comes to me, that's not God, it does, because it can't contain it. And he had said in the previous chapter, it's beyond affirmations or negations. So excuse me for that. Chapter 3. What are the affirmations and the negations concerning God? In the theological outlines, we've set forth the principal affirmative expressions concerning God and have shown in what sense God's holy nature is one, and in what sense three. What is within it, which is called paternity, what filiation, what's signified by the name Spirit, or Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. I imagine he's talking about how from the uncreated and invisible good, the blessed and perfect rays of its goodness proceed, and yet abide immutably one, both with their origin and within themselves and each other, co-eternal with the act by which they spring from it. How the superessential Jesus enters an essential state in which the truths of human nature meet, and other matters known by the oracles are expounded in the same place. Again, in the treatise on the divine names, we've considered the meaning as concerning God of the titles of good, of being, of life, of wisdom, of power, and of such other names as are applied to him. Further, in symbolical theology, we've considered what are the metaphorical titles drawn from the world of sense and applied to the nature of God. What is meant by the material and intellectual images we form of him, or the functions and instruments of activity attributed to God? What are the places where God dwells and the raiment in which she's adorned? What is meant by God's anger, grief, and indignation, or the divine inebriation? What's meant by God's oaths and threats, by his slumber and waking, and all sacred and symbolical representations? And it'll be observed how far more copious and diffused are the last terms than the first. For the theological doctrine and the exposition of the divine names are necessarily more brief than the symbolical theology. For the higher we soar in contemplation, the more limited become our expressions of that which is purely intelligible, even as now when plunging into darkness which is above the intellect, we pass not merely into brevity of speech, but even into absolute silence of thoughts as well as of words. Thus, in the former discourse, our contemplations descended from the highest to the lowest, embracing an ever-widening number of conceptions, which increased at each stage of the descent. But in the present discourse, we mount upwards from below to that which is the highest, and according to the degree of transcendence, so our speech is restrained until the entire ascent being accomplished, we become wholly voiceless, inasmuch as we're absorbed into God, who is totally ineffable. You want to read that, Paul?
Okay, but why, you will ask, does the affirmative method begin from the highest attributions and the negative method with the lowest abstractions? The reason is because when affirming the subsistence of that with a capital T, when affirming the subsistence of that which transcends all affirmation, we necessarily start from the attributes more closely related to it, and upon which the remaining affirmations depend. But when pursuing the negative method to reach that, again capital T, which is beyond all abstraction, we must begin by applying our negations to things which are most remote from it. So two methods of realizing the reality of divinity and that which we are a ray. For is it not more true to affirm that God is life and goodness than that he is air or stone? And must we not deny to him more emphatically the attributes of inebriation and wrath than the applications of human speech and thought? It's a good question.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The footnotes are really good about this too. Just one caught my eye. It was just what you were just saying. Although anthropomorphic and other figurative expressions applied to God are not true in the ultimate sense, nevertheless, they have a proper and almost indispensable place in the worship and reverence which humans endeavor to pay the supreme through the media of finite faculties and symbols. Chapter
Yeah.
4, that he who is the preeminent cause of all things sensibly perceived is not himself any of those things. I'm venturing to draw a comparison with knowing thyself through the methods of Ramana Maharshi. Here it's like, or simple words, you simply say, well, those are my ideas, those are my feelings. If the true I is the supreme self, which we're calling by so many names here, certainly if they're my thoughts, my ideas, my feelings, my body, then I'm not them. The body, feelings, mind, and thoughts are things that I own. They're my things, right? Who am I? That's what this is about. We therefore maintain that the universal and transcendent cause of all things is neither without being nor without life, not without reason or intelligence, nor is he a body, nor has he form or shape, quality, quantity, or weight, nor has he any localized, visible, or tangible existence. She's not sensible or perceptible, nor is she subject to any disorder or inordination, nor influenced by any earthly passion. Neither is she rendered impotent through the effects of material causes and events. She needs no light. She suffers no change, corruption, division, privation, or flux. None of these things can either be identified with or attributed unto God. Go ahead, Paul, finish it up.
Well, I was thinking I wanted to just, there was a footnote here, to just what Bob was saying about Ramana Maharshi and so forth. It's obvious that, and historically, no one's really clear who Dionysius the Aeropagite is, but it's obvious that he knows, or there's a footnote here that shows that he knew about Hindu theology and the Vedas and so forth to some degree, because there's a footnote that says the triple mystic path. This is back quite some ways, but just to be sure, the triple mystic path is outlined here: the purgative, the illuminative, and the unitive, which have a parallel in the karma marga, the gnana marga, and bhakti marga of Oriental mysticism. Of course, we wouldn't use the term Oriental mysticism now, or maybe we would, but at any rate, it's obvious that that Dionysius was aware of more than just Christianity, and that he's applying universal thought to this ascent to the divine darkness. Chapter 5, that the one who is the preeminent cause of all things intelligibly perceived is not himself or herself any of those things. Again, ascending yet higher, we maintain that God is neither soul nor intellect, nor has God imagination, opinion, reason, or understanding, nor can the one be expressed or conceived, since he or she is neither number nor order, nor greatness nor smallness, nor equality nor inequality, nor similarity nor dissimilarity. Neither is he standing nor moving, nor at rest. Neither has he power nor is power, nor is light. Neither does she live, nor is she life. Neither is he essence, nor eternity, nor time, nor is God subject to intelligible contact, nor is God's science or truth, nor kingship, nor wisdom, neither one, nor oneness, nor Godhead, nor goodness, nor is he spirit according to our understanding, nor filiation, nor paternity, nor anything else known to us or to any other beings of the things that are or the things that are not, neither does anything that is know him as he is, nor does he know existing things according to existing knowledge, neither can the reason attain to her, nor name her, nor know her, neither is she darkness nor light, nor the false nor the true, nor can any affirmation or negation be applied to God. For although we may affirm or deny the things below him, we can neither affirm nor deny him, inasmuch as the all perfect and unique cause of all things transcends all affirmation, and the simple preeminence of God's absolute nature is outside of every negation, free from every limitation, and beyond all. Neither this nor that, huh? Right?
That's right. Not this and that, or not this and nor not, or whatever. You get the idea.
Which does not mean that we are not of the divine.
No.
It simply means that with our mouths and our thoughts, the one is not knowable. Only through ascension into the divine luminous darkness.
You can edit this out at the end if it's a inappropriate quote. My favorite, well, something Joe Miller said once. He gave a long talk and then he said, I have no idea what I'm talking about, but you get the idea.
Oh gosh. Yeah, well, I think I'll stop the recording at this point, and we can chat a little bit further. I can think of many pearls of wisdom that we could cast before this light of the luminous darkness, but I don't know. You're right. I wouldn't know what I was talking about, would I?
We'd be casting swine before the pearl.
Okay. Give a wave like this and speak so that your picture is done. You got to say something.
Something.
Yeah, something.
Thank you.